don't think Drew would be happy. Yeah,
Grandma Day's getting close.
yes, if she doesn't have baby before the 7th of July, they're going to induce. So she went to the doctor today and the doctor said that she's starting to very tiny dilating. So she goes, the doctor said it's hopefully
It's progressing?
a week and a half yet. And then she goes, then go for a walk and she goes, get that thing started.
This is Brittany.
Hey Brittany, we got you on live. Fair.
So I know most of these guys. Yeah. Not very much, so I'm just letting her go.
Seven. There in the past been debates about whose iPad is correct.
Oh, sure.
Whose computer is correct with the time. It's supposed to be the official timekeeper.
Apple and this PC are different, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 58, 57. Oh, now it's 58 there.
I know which one I trust.
Pleasure's mine.
Denise and
Brittany, what sporting event are you at tonight?
8U softball
Oh, yeah.
for Ella.
That sounds pretty chill.
It's intense.
It's a tight game.
Right? Well, hopefully you're able to focus on the meeting and the softball. She's good at that.
Always.
Particularly your mom, you have to be.
Well, a mom, dean of college, plus code, in your spare time. I need to say that loud.
It's been too long since that reference. It took me a little bit.
This one got paid. I think so, yeah. So he doesn't get 2 sets of. This one was out first, this came in second batch.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Opening items, do we have any additions to, the agenda this evening?
Mayor and council, two changes. Due to an issue made with the notification on the Central Basin 4 Special Assessment Role, we're going to postpone that public hearing, but I'd like to move it instead to add it as a new item under new business, so that folks that are here and didn't get notification can still speak on the matter. And then the item A under new business, Central Basin 4 Project Change Order number 3, we're going to remove that from the agenda, please.
Any other additions to or changes?
Just know that we anticipate the public hearing being on July 8th at this point.
Okay,
Motion to approve as amended?
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Aye.
same sign. And motion does carry. So then we'll be skipping the public hearings portion, is that correct, Nate?
Yeah,
Okay.
so what I'd like to do is, since we'll have it under new business as the first item there, just that anybody that was planning to speak on the matter under the public hearing, just have them.
So that'll be the first item in the new business?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. Next item then is visitors to be heard. So if there's anyone here that would like to be heard, please, we'll take 2 minutes for each person, step up to the podium. Please state your name and address and share. Is there anyone that would like to share this evening?
Mitch Marcotte, 309 East Street, East 6th Street, I guess. I ran into a scenario where I was looking for some information on our conflict of interest policy. Now, the federal government has a conflict of interest policy. State government has a conflict of interest policy. And every city in Minnesota has one. I'm from Minnesota. And what is ours is what I'd like to know. And where is that, or could someone forward that to me? I think Nate's got my email address. But I would like to know what our conflict of interest policy is, because it may be important. That's it?
Yep, sounds good.
Good
Thank you.
deal, thanks.
Good evening. I'm Ron Abbas, I live at 301 North Cedar Street, where we just did our street this past year. I was wondering, how do we pay for this? This new street, this is what I'm asking, Nobody is, is it on your, put on your taxes for 10 years, or how does it go?
I'll talk about a few options.
Okay, so what'll happen is after we have the public hearing, we will go ahead and we will get assessment notices out that actually is addressed to you, and it has the assessment that you're gonna be assessed at
Okay,
for 10 years, so there's actually 10 payments. You have the choice.
okay.
You can either pay it before October 20th, is that what we said, or 24th? 24th, sorry, October 24th, or if you don't pay it by the 24th of October, then it automatically gets sent to the county and it'll be assessed on your taxes for 10 years.
Okay, now I'm wondering, since they didn't do my sidewalk or my curb and gutter, so am I gonna get back by cheaper?
I don't have it in front of me as far as what your amount is,
So,
My
but that will be coming out to
My
you.
90 feet, wasn't touched because the curb was there, the cement was there, my sidewalk was there, so all I thought I was paying for is the asphalt in front of
correct,
my house, the
Yep.
90 feet or whatever.
yes, yep.
So they will know that?
Yes, that's already figured into the amount.
Okay. I've got another, this was kind of a complaint. I got a neighbor that's got all kinds of stuff set by his house. By my shed, where I live, right?
Just north, yeah. Yep.
Anyway, he's got a trailer load of junk sitting on the street, and it's been there a week and he doesn't move it. I'm just sick of it.
It's on the street?
It's right on the street.
Okay. We will have that addressed.
I mean, I don't wanna cause trouble, but I'm, we're supposed to keep the stuff on the street, right?
Yep.
All right.
Oftentimes, just making a phone call to the city offices and letting them know of a code violation like that
Okay.
is your
All right.
best first course of action.
I mean, he's got some other stuff sitting there too, but, you know, you're supposed to have it on cement now, or gravel or something.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, got an old tractor sitting back there too, you know. But, come on, guys, clean this up.
Yep.
This is supposed to, I appreciate that old house going down the corner and the one that just went down, you know, that improved the city a lot. That's all I have.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Hi, I'm Kathy Schleif, 908 Fourth Avenue. And I just have a question about, do we have any parks in the area that have respect to military law, anything like that, veterans? Because through small towns in Iowa and South Dakota, I've seen a lot of small towns with that. Just wondering if we have anything like that, or if that's been addressed in the past.
We do have just down the block here next to our American Legion, more of a reflecting area
Okay,
that honors those who serve.
okay, all right, thank you.
I would add to that, the city did join with Lincoln County in becoming a Purple Heart community a few years ago. And, you know, I added some parking spots down by the baseball field, kind of recognize the contributions of the Legion program to our baseball system here in town as well.
Anybody else?
My name is Joyce Pingree, and I live at 101 South Elm. And my question is, when the stuff is not done right, that this improvement decrease the value of my property because of the cement work and the lack of grass and weeds in the boulevard and cracks in the cement and cuts where they weren't supposed to be cut. And I'm told that it'll be fixed. Do I have any guarantee that it will be fixed?
Yeah, we definitely can follow up with you. I'm not sure. I'm not able to answer, but we'll have to.
I
follow
talked
up.
with Josh, the engineer, and he told me he'd landscape.
Yeah, Mitch.
I can visit with you after this meeting if you like, and you can tell me in more detail. Josh is on my staff.
Well, I just, I don't really think it's fair to be assessed if the work isn't done and isn't done correctly.
So the contract does protect the community as a whole in terms of workmanship on the project, and any project. You know, if, you know, there are items, whether it's a sidewalk panel, a curb, portions of the street that don't meet our specifications. You know, there's always a punch list that's gone through at the end of every project, as well as the one-year warranty period following project closeout, which is after that punch list is completed. So any items that you know, were damaged throughout the winter or were not built to the specifications in the contract need to be done or redone to those specifications.
Yeah, and this isn't even a year old and it's flaky.
Sounds like it definitely needs to be followed up on and then addressed.
Yeah, and I just want to guarantee that it's gonna be done. Cause I had cement work down there 20 years ago that's better cement than this is.
We certainly don't want to leave you in a lurch, so let's have that conversation with Mitch and let's see this through.
Any other visitors to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, the consent agenda. Nate, you have any thing to point to in this section, or any other council members want to share about the consent agenda? Otherwise, we'll move towards a motion.
With
I
regards,
have a question on the consent agenda in regard to the Lions Club special event application. I'm curious if the special application supersedes that of a facility use permit. Do they need both?
We generally haven't required both because they're still providing, the information we need, especially the insurance certificate. We typically use the facility use agreement for ongoing, kind of recurring uses, such as the baseball fields or what else have we used it for?
So I might
It's really
have
big
missed
one.
in there, is there information about fees being, and not that I'm gonna do this to the Lions Club, but just in general going forward, if we have, different groups at our post, picking up after themselves, garbage. I know you said you'd be having extra garbage bins there, but, what we're doing in the process of if they don't have, or in the case of if they leave beer bottles behind, something like that, not just for this group, but for all groups that just do the special event instead of the facility use permit. Does it cover everything that's in our facility use permit?
I believe it does, but I can follow up on that and make sure. Probably want to check in with Brett and get his take on that. I'm wondering
the
if
other-
there's always a possibility we could do both, as a requirement of the special event permit, along with the insurance certificate, you could require the facility use agreement to be executed as well.
So my other question is, it says that we will not be serving alcohol. However, if individuals can bring their own alcohol, I'm okay with that, but does that violate our policy where we can have alcohol by youth parks? And do we need to maybe make a special consideration for this event or events that are adult, geared towards adults? Like if there's kids playing at the park, is it considered a youth area, even though it's not a youth event?
Right.
Like, will there be people under 21 playing in the tournament?
I think the way we have it in policy, now I'll follow up on this, but I'm fairly certain the way we have it written up in our parks and recreation policies is alcohol is allowed at events in the parks, so long as they're not within a certain distance of any of the organized
50
youth
feet.
events.
50 feet of youth events, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember the distance, but there's some, we do have language in there about that.
So do we consider 18, 19, and 20-year-old youth when they're
No.
not of age to drink alcohol? I think that's my biggest concern. If they were drinking, they left there, we were hosting that event, or allowed the event to be hosted. I just want to make sure we're covered. I'm not saying we can't have alcohol. I just want to make sure that we have liability release in place, because there will be people that are 18, 19, and 20 and not of age to drink alcohol in the same area that we're hosting an event or allowing an event to be hosted. And then my other question is, on page 3, if you could clarify the meaning of the question, will city noise ordinances be considered? Because the answer was no, but the way it's written to me indicates, are you going to be considerate of our policies for noise?
Oh, yeah.
And to me, that answer should be yes.
Yeah, and the reason it wouldn't be applicable in this case, and maybe it's just a wording issue that we need to clarify there, but because it ends at 6 p.m., the noise ordinances would not be in effect at that point during the day.
Okay, so it's outside of the hours then? Of
Correct.
the
Yeah, I
noise
think
ordinance.
10 p.m.
Okay.
10 p.m. are our hours.
Okay, that's all I have for that agenda item.
I'll follow up on the rest of those items. Thank you.
Any other discussion, or we can look forward to a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. This is roll call. I'll start with Mauer,
Aye.
Swear.
Aye.
Vendrell. Doherty.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
The consent agenda is approved.
One more comment for the consent agenda.
Yes.
With the addition of our seasonal employees, are we now fully staffed for the season?
I think so. You know, the only thing I would think of, being a possibility is, groundskeeping, but I think we're doing okay keeping up with the mowing at this point, so I think we're in good shape. And, talked to Brittany Klinger before the meeting, and she said this was probably all we needed, so.
Excellent. Thank you.
Now on to the next item, old business, ordinance number 650. Nate?
Mayor and Council, this is the second reading of this rezoning ordinance for the Creekside addition at the corner of West 4th and Cleveland on the west side of town. There have been no changes to this ordinance since the first reading. Recommend a motion to approve second reading.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Aye.
Same sign.
You can abstain.
And then now we're on new business. And so the first item, which is a new item, is just for public, if there's public to share about the Central Basin 4 Special Assessment Role. And so we'll open it up to the public. If you'd like to share, please step up to the podium. You can state your name and address and share.
Kyle Evers, 127 Academy. My only question is for postponing the meeting for tonight, which I was able to make time for, and moving it into July. What is the conditions if I could not make it to that meeting? How do I become a part of that meeting? Because the way my work schedule is, I can't just drop everything every time I turn around. So that's my only question, is how can I still be a part of the meeting if I have such.
Isn't the purpose of this to kind of do the same thing you would have done that meeting, share your concerns and get that feedback to us, so then when we have that vote, then we have your feedback?
I would add to that it's not uncommon for us to get written comments before a public hearing as well, that we try and make sure that we incorporate into those records.
Okay, well, the only comment I would have right now is the construction crew that's currently out there doing the work, can please ask them to stay off my driveway when they're turning around? Because it is new concrete, I prefer not to have payloaders on it.
Please give us your address again.
120 Academy.
120
So,
Academy.
so far, I haven't noticed any damage or anything, but I have noticed quite a few tire tracks.
No sense in risking that. Agreed.
So, if I'm paying for the concrete, I don't want it broken.
Got that right.
So,
Duly noted, thank you.
yep.
Any other public input on this matter? Any other discussion? Otherwise, we don't have a motion, it's just for public input.
Correct.
This item.
Where do we send the written comments if we're gonna do that? Sorry, I forgot to ask.
I can get you a card here shortly. Make sure you have that.
Thank
Or email address.
All right. Thank you. The next item then is B, Central Basin 4 Project Pay Application number 11.
Good evening, everyone. You have in your packet, pay application for the project. So this is pay application number 11. It brings the project amount for what they completed out there. They completed all the utility work in phase 4, and they expect to have the roadways put together probably the early part of July, just after the 4th of July is kind of what they're thinking at this moment. And then from there, they have one phase left, which is phase 6, and then they'll tear into that and begin work on that phase of the project. But again, this pay application gets them paid to date. We still are retaining 6.3%, you can see, which is $400,000 on the contract. The amount due with this application is $372,125.70. We would recommend paying them that amount. Any questions?
I have a question, I don't know who he is.
Yep. Yeah, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Mitch Merrigan, I'm with Stockwell Engineers.
Okay, thanks.
So we hire Stockwell Engineers as our city engineer. All right, if no discussion or other questions, we'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This will be a roll call vote, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And Swear,
Aye.
Mauer,
Aye.
Mandrill,
Aye.
Doherty,
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
And motion does carry. Thank you, Mitch. Let's get the next one. Next item is the metals draining project pay application number 1. Information on that, which is probably Mitch.
Yes, pay application number 1 for the Meadows project. That is with the contractor Parkway Construction. Right now they have about $30,000 in place. We're recommending they retain 10% on that amount. So the recommended payment for this application is $28,427.62. I would say this project is running a little bit behind at the moment. We had a meeting last week with the contractor. I know the wet weather has made it more difficult. There's probably some items on their scheduling that have caused a delay too. We're trying to work with them to try to get the project done as quickly as they can here. We expect that they'll have, right now if you go by it, it's over excavated. They'll be putting gravel in probably tomorrow and getting the road put back. Maybe some concrete crews here later in the week or early next week, and they'll start piecing the work back together. Completion date right now, the contract completion date is June 24th.
So are we confident that he's going to be able to complete that in 14 days?
No.
He could, I mean, he's got capable subs, it just is a matter of organizing that effort.
Do we feel like he's done this amount of work so far that we should pay him this much?
Yes. Yep, that's all verified.
Your contracted with them states that we pay as they go, but again, we retain 10% on the contract, so that's all part of your contract with them.
Until we get to 70,
You can retain up to 10% on half of the project value,
and then it goes down to 5.
and then it goes down to 5.
One note as well, and I didn't look this up before, but we do have liquidated damages in all these projects, so every day that they go over without a project extension will result in liquidated damages typically. So.
Any other questions or comments, Mitch, on this item? All right, if not, I'll look for a motion to approve Central Basin, or the, excuse me, Metro Meadows Drainage Project pay application number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve pay up 1.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, so it'll also be roll call. Mauer,
Abstain.
Swear,
Aye.
Mandrill,
Aye.
Doherty,
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
And motion does carry. All right, thanks, Mitch. Next item is the Planning and Zoning Commission appointment. Nate, you have anything on this, or do you want me to share?
It's all yours, Mayor.
All right. I just appreciate, a number of people that applied, threw their name in the hat, so to speak, for this open position. And just a few thoughts about that and remarks for every person that did apply for this. So the Planning Commission is appointed by the mayor and is responsible for establishing and enforcing the zoning regulations of the community. These ordinances are in place to protect the community and to meet the planning needs of the community. The Planning Commission is also responsible for planning the expansion of the community as it grows. At the last City Council meeting, I recommended that citizens submit their names in a form of application for this vacancy. I had several conversations with potential applicants. I asked if they were interested in submitting their application by noon today, and I was very surprised at the number of people that did submit their application. I look at it, that speaks volumes on how the committee is an essential part of our community and is sought after. This made a very difficult decision on my part to appoint the person to serve the next term on the committee. The applicants were Cody Parker, and I apologize if I mispronounce her last name, Nick Cable, Andy Klenner, Laura Tisi, and Randy Weishettle. So we had 5 applicants. And just a little bit about each person. Cody is born and raised in Lennox. He's actively involved with the Parks and Rec as a coach and keeps current with the Planning and Zoning Committee. He has a manager role at Lift Solutions in Sioux Falls and experience with the Minnehaha County Highway Development. Cody seems to be thoughtful, level-headed, and can make difficult decisions, which might not always be the popular vote. And there's Nick. Nick has been a resident of Lennox for 20 years. He's a small business owner, which I look at brings wealth of perspective to this committee. He recently applied for Ward 3 council member position. Nick is enthusiastic about becoming more involved within the city government. Andy Klenner, he's a bit newer to the Lennox community and jumped right in, attending the Lennox Citizens Academy. He is currently a civil engineer and serves on the American Society of Civil Engineers on their ethical committee. Before moving to Lennox, Andy was the former planning commissioner in Austin, Minnesota. And we have Laura. Laura has been a long-time vested citizen of Lennox, as she has served on the commercial club, helped with community projects, volunteers at our church with VBS, youth, Sunday school. She has a drive to become more invested in the city government. She's willing to learn and put the effort needed in. She is detail-oriented and very mindful. And then Randy, he's been a long-time citizen of Lennox. He is currently the general sales manager at Billion Southtown, and before that was a contractor for 20 years. Randy was a wrestling coach for 10 years in Lennox. He's level-headed, understands processes, and has experience as a his experience as a contractor would be very beneficial. Randy's not afraid to ask questions and to find answers. And just to recap, every single one of these people are very qualified to serve on this Planning and Zoning Committee. For those of you that are not appointed, just a word of encouragement. I hope that does not deter you from becoming more involved in the city in the future. We'll continue to have committee member openings and city council member positions that will open. It's not a knock on your giftings if you weren't selected or your skill set or what you bring to the table. Every one of you would have been a great asset to the Planning and Zoning Committee. There's one person that has stood out to me and has some major prior community experience and currently his workplace experience that would bring a much needed skill set to the Planning and Zoning Committee. And that person is Andy Klenner. Andy, he's a civil engineer who was a former planning commissioner in Austin, Minnesota. Austin, Minnesota is a bigger town than Lennox. It's around 20,000, I believe. His current role as a civil engineer, he understands the planning process. I feel that his skill set, his involvement with even the Citizens Academy, would be a great fit for this committee. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve Andy as the next member of the Planning and Zoning Committee, but before I do that, are there any other comments regarding this process or any applicants?
Looks like a tough choice. I mean, these all 5 look like solid candidates, so that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Very exciting to see the community response. I don't know how you're making.
I concur, having all that interest as well is phenomenal, and hopefully those individuals that are not appointed come back in the spring for the 4 council seats and the 1 mayor seat that will be open. And I also agree with your decision. I think that's a great skill set to have on our board, and I look forward to visiting with him.
Any other comments? If not, I'd like to ask a motion to approve the appointment of Andy Klenner to the Lennox Planning and Zoning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same
Aye.
sign.
Abstain.
Congratulations to Andy and the rest of you who applied for this role. Thank you very much. Again, please don't let this discourage you from getting involved in the community in the future. As we continue to have openings year after year, and there's plenty of opportunities to do that. So thank you so much for all your interest, and those of you who also helped and get people to submit their names. So it's a good process and very difficult, so thanks for that. Next item on new business is the Emerald Ash Borer Consultant Agreement.
Mayor and Council, you'll recall earlier this year we were informed the Emerald Ash Borer was confirmed here in Lennox. As a result of that, the Council did approve a first version of the Emerald Ash Borer Recovery Plan, which includes several steps to assess and mitigate EAB throughout the community. So far, we've had an assessment inventory done in Westerman Park. The next assessment in that recovery plan is to inventory and assess ash trees located in the city's right-of-way, so boulevard trees. Again, I engaged Sam Keyser with Aspen for this work. Sam knows Lennox well. In fact, he's the one that first noticed EAB here in town and was the reporting party, unfortunately. But all for good. It was going to happen at some point, I'm afraid. So this proposal includes an inventory of all the ash trees along the city streets and right-of-ways, an assessment of all those ash trees. If they're dead, poor, or fair condition, they'll be marked with a pink X for removal. I did ask Sam to add in here some additional consultation as needed, and that's at that additional hourly rate of $2.75 an hour. I don't really anticipate frequent needs for that service, but there are times, for example, when Stockwell has got the bid specifications marked up, I would like Sam to have a look at those and make sure that it's what we need for our plan to succeed, for example. The agreement has been reviewed by the city attorney. Those comments are available should you request them. I think I might have them in executive content as well. I recommend a motion to approve this agreement with a rate of $23,900. That's correct.
Nate, can you clarify, is this contract for the ash trees that have already been marked, but our city personnel did not remove those trees because they were larger? Or is this for those trees and then also to identify and remove new trees?
This is to identify additional trees. So what was done previously was trees just in Westerman Park. This would be for trees that are along city streets in the city right of way.
I just noticed there's several trees that are marked that are still, have not been removed yet. Do you have, I guess, an update on that?
We have Stockwell preparing a bid. Council had asked that we refrain from cutting those down with city personnel because we didn't have the training and expertise to do so. Stockwell is preparing a bid that will be released. Mitch, I don't know if you have a timeline.
We haven't started on it, but I think we're waiting to get the inventory from.
Yep, it's going to have to be informed by that inventory. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
What are we going to do for ash trees that are on residents' properties?
Searching my memory for how we put that in the EAB recovery plan, but I believe trees on people's private property, if we find the money to do so, would be eligible for a rebate if they remove them or treat them, but we don't have, it's something that we'll have to include in next year's budget, so.
Would there be any appetite for offering a service, a fee service, and putting a fee schedule to have your ash tree treated? Or is that something that's outside of what the city can get involved with?
It's probably something outside of what we would typically do. I would look at that similar to on one of our projects, if somebody, for example, we're going to tear out the approach and put in a new approach on Elm Street, but they would like a whole new driveway. We ask them to work directly with the contractor to figure out that rate and amount, so that they're contracting privately, without the city having to be involved in that. Keeps us a little bit out of the mix if something does go wrong, because it's not something that we're paying for, or responsible for. That being said, it'd be interesting to see if there's a way to, under that contract, allow a rate
Yes.
for private home property owners to contract with them to a certain degree. The challenge is how do you gotta cut that off at some point, because a contractor only has so much time to complete a job. And, how far do we want to extend that? So, I think that's something Mitch and I can follow up on and see if there's any kind of protocol for setting up a bid of that magnitude.
I would imagine Mr. Kezar, if I'm saying that right, has been approached by other municipalities with this very question, and he probably has a packaged answer that covers what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
I'd sure love to have something.
Yeah.
And whether there's nothing we can do, I'd rather know that than wish we would have talked about it.
So the question is really, what can we do for the private property owners?
Absolutely.
And just kind of ask that open.
Is there some way to leverage our scale to
Yep.
give the property owners some sort of
Right.
financial cut, or, they get a better degree because we're doing 1,000 trees
Right.
Yep.
versus.
If they're here doing what
If I was
project
gonna go
would
get my
be-
2 trees removed myself, it's probably gonna be a different rate.
Right, I don't know
Yeah.
how many folks have actually gone out and looked at emerald ash borer, treating ash trees, or even know what to look for. I sure don't. But we need to keep our citizens at least in the know and give them opportunities to have a solution,
Yeah.
other than Google.
I wonder if that's something we can't include in the informational packet we're putting together. I don't know that's gonna be distributed to every property in town. I do want something to be available though on our website and here at City Hall for folks to ask. What are we looking at in terms of cost here? There's a big difference between, just go ahead and cut it down or treat for 12 years or forever. We don't know how long it's gonna be necessary, so.
I would recommend.
But I think asking that open-ended question about what is there that we can do?
Good.
Would at least spur some good discussion.
And then when we have that information, having it posted here is a big deal, putting the word out is another big deal, but I'll recommend again that every citizen of Lennox download the City of Lennox app and turn their notifications on. So when the city pushes out a notification, you actually see it in real time on your phone and you don't miss it. It's a real easy and simple way to get information directly from the city.
Thank you.
That's a good follow-up question then, so, any other discussion?
Is there any kind of competitive bid that we've gotten on this, or is this the only guy that does this type of work? How do we know this is a reasonable cost?
We did not put out a competitive bid for these. It's under the bid limits. We could, of course, do an RFP. Sam becomes highly regarded by the entire state arborist society. He's one of 2 certified master arborists in the state. To say he knows his stuff is an understatement. We trust him pretty closely with this stuff. Additionally, it is a relatively local company that we've gone with. So.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll look for a motion to approve the agreement with Aspen Solutions.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we need to do roll call on this because of financial? Okay. So we'll do roll call. Mauer,
Aye.
Swear,
Aye.
Vandrill,
Aye.
Doherty,
Aye.
Welch, and motion does carry. On to the next item. F, ordinance number 651. Nate?
Mayor and council, at the last meeting, you had asked that a survey on the use of consumer fireworks in Lennox be released to the public. That survey went out, I believe, the following day. We closed it off went out later that week, and shut off responses, I believe, last week Thursday, so we could get these numbers in here. In terms of the survey results, and whether people support or oppose resident use of consumer fireworks in Lennox, 78% of respondents supported, with 22% opposing. Asked about several restrictions that communities could place and what folks would support. Those that had majority support were use only during Independence Day and New Year's Day holidays. Use restricted to specific hours on the days allowed. And use of fireworks not allowed during defined dry periods. I also included in the memo all of the comments that we received on there. Based on the initial feedback, I did draft an ordinance and included that in your packet for consideration, with feedback from the city attorney, police chief, and fire department. It's worth noting the fire department would prefer that the ordinance not change given the risk of fire. I did do a little bit of looking around on this. National Fire Protection Association, the most recent statistics they had on this were from 2018 though. So that was, fireworks were responsible for about 19,500 fires in 2018. 1,900 of those were structure fires, 500 vehicle fires. The remainder is outside and other fires, causing 5 deaths, 46 civilian injuries, and $105 million in direct property damage. The ordinance itself is modeled after that of T. It allows the discharge of fireworks around Independence Day and New Year's Day holidays. It also allows the city council to suspend the discharge of fireworks during those dry periods, and creates an actual permit for the organized discharge of fireworks. Right now, it's not a formal permit. It's done through that special event permit that the commercial club fills out, for example. If you are so moved, I would recommend a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 651.
Okay, I'd like to open it up for some discussion here. There is some from council.
Looking at the survey results, it's 3-1 in favor of this. But then reading the comments, it appears that there's a fair amount of those folks that were no votes that were comments. So a lot to digest there.
I felt the same as I read the comments. There's a lot of opposition to it, and it really, I know I was the one who brought this up, but it really made me start to think about it, and the fact that our fire department is so against it too. Obviously, they're the ones that are protecting us, and they're doing it voluntarily. They're not paid staff, so we want to definitely consider them in this.
And just to clarify, the comments that you shared are just the negative.
They're all the comments.
That's all the comments. Okay.
You had included, I think, in your draft.
Nate, do you know what, sorry, Chad, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. You go ahead.
Do you know the number of responses that we received on that survey?
I want to say 106, but if you bear with me here a moment, I can find out for sure.
I think it's important anytime we survey the community to recognize that we're really getting a small percentage of the population,
Yep.
you know, with 100, 150 out of 2,500 residents.
102 responses.
I was just gonna mention, I searched a little bit, I think you had modeled after T's ordinance, which I think made it a more liberal one around here, as far as like widespread, they go from like July 3rd through the 5th, and they go till midnight. I just happened to find like Del Rapids is just on the 4th and only till 11 p.m. So I mean, I think there's some liberty there that we can discuss if we decide to move forward. That my opinion is, if we do something, maybe we kind of step into it slowly and not just wide open.
Open the gates.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm torn as well. Like, I see both sides of it, absolutely. And I'm a little bit kind of thinking, like, do we just leave well enough alone and let people kind of do what they were doing?
Pay their fine and go.
What's that? Well,
Pay their fine and go.
well, I mean, that's not good either, but I don't know. I mean, what's your thought, Billy?
Is there a place in town that we could open up for, I think, you know, when I think about lighting off fireworks with my kids, the biggest thing is where are we gonna do it at? And, you know, do you just go to a rural road and you sit in the middle of the road and do fireworks? And, you know, I think of like our softball, baseball fields, not that I want to tear up the agri line or have a bunch of trash out there or something like that, but could we think about identifying a place or work with the high school on their football parking lot, something like that, where it's maybe a safe place without as many trees, sand, people pick up their garbage, where we put garbage bins out there, where they're not in their driveway, where there's a heavily wooded area, and have somewhat of a compromise.
I think it would have to be permitted and space would have to be properly defined. Because if everyone crams into a small space, I don't trust the guy next to me lighting an explosive. And I don't want that space to be really tight. So it really would need to be defined.
Plus, I think we mentioned that last time, and there's some liability maybe concerns if we're given the space, and then if you
Blow off somebody's
get
finger.
hurt.
I think the more we organize it, I think the more that likelihood of a liability risk could increase. Obviously, we want to run that by the pool. But
I did a little bit of research just to compare, like grill fires and fire pits. And I don't know if anyone else looked this up, but like, do we need to outlaw everything, you know? But just fireworks stands way above. So annually, there's around 3,000 reported fires in the U.S. started by fire pits. With grill fires, around 5,700. So it's, and our number for fireworks for just a few days a year is 19,500. So I thought there'd be a lot more accidental fires from grills and fire pits, but there are not.
And I did not see any statistics on the state fire marshal's site for fireworks related accidents or fires specifically. Now, that was a comment that came through on the survey, I believe, in terms of what other local communities have seen in terms of fires as a result.
Sure.
I can't think of any, but I also don't live in most communities, so I can think of one in a community I lived in years ago that started a cedar shake roof on fire, so maybe not next to the museum, given the new cedar shakes are going on this year. But, yeah.
So given that it's June 10th, and we're a few weeks away from an awesome day, I believe we need to respect what our citizens are asking and further vet this to define what it is that we can allow, working with our volunteer fire department to come up with some form of allowed fireworks in city limits, but at an acceptable level that the fire department would have input on. I don't feel qualified to define this, and I don't want to take people's liberties if 78% of the respondents are in favor of it. That's a big majority. So I just want it to be safe. I want to respect those that don't want it for a 3-day run. I want to respect our veterans and those suffering with PTSD. So we notify everyone that this is happening, and I don't believe we have that time right now to really get our legs underneath this. So my recommendation is that we further analyze this and we have something in place for July 4, 2025.
To clarify just a little bit, it sounds like so what I'm hearing is you'd like to hear from the fire department on what that acceptable level of risk might be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will shared some insights at our last meeting on behalf of the police department, and I appreciate those comments. There he is.
So getting back to, I agree with your discussion on the facility use and the liability with the fireworks, but something I was kind of thinking of was, what if we worked with the fire department on like a safety day where kids could come and learn how to properly safely handle fireworks? Maybe they have small fireworks there that they're kind of working together to shoot off. I'm not talking about rockets or anything like that, but showing kids how to put them out appropriately, how to light them appropriately, how to hold them away from your body, not shooting them at other people, that kind of thing, where it's like we do a 4-H safety, or we did the bicycle helmet safety with the police department.
I think those are all good ideas, Brittany, but I do wonder too that since it's coming up fairly quickly, that we wanna do this right and not rush into a change, as well, so a year goes by pretty fast, so we can be patient, with it as well, so I'm also a fan of fireworks and, but, you know, with kids, they're not as cautious, and looking back, I was not as cautious when I was a teenager and early young adult, too, so I think it's okay to, I think we can move forward in some way, but it maybe needs to start with some more conversations and recommendations within the city and our department and such too, so I think that's a good idea, it's a wise move.
Is this something that the fire, ambulance, and police committee would want to take up? I say that not knowing who's on that committee necessarily right now, because it just changed.
I'm pretty sure I'm on that.
Sam's the chair.
Sam is?
Sam's the chair. and
Yeah, I
then
think
to my
I
left.
think I would.
It's in my office.
More comfortable, you know, speaking with them and getting some one-on-one feedback.
Agreed.
Maybe we can schedule
Is that
something.
right? Is it the three of us?
I just remind how.
Sam. Sam is the chair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know I'm on it too, so I don't know if you are or not.
I feel like I am.
Do we want to try and get the committee together, no matter who's on it, and see if
Yes.
we can get fire, police, and ambulance all together?
Yeah.
So I think they all play a role here, and there's certainly a fire department role, ambulance and police role, I think, having everybody in that room to start that discussion, and if needed, keep the discussion
Yeah,
going, but yield some
That's a
results.
point of view that we maybe don't have right now.
Yeah.
Reading the mayor's appointments, we have Sam, Lauren, and Billy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other objections to that, or I think we're all in favor, otherwise we will not look for a motion?
No, I don't think we need to table this.
All right, I think that's it for new business. And nothing under personnel. If not, we will
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion is carried and meeting is adjourned.
There are some, things that need to be signed in.